Come on, come on. We really need to get someone to do our AV stuff. I feel so much pressure.
Yeah.
Okay. We really need to get some. Just mute myself there and make sure that I have the link to embed on the website. And then I think we'll be okay.
I'm so happy you're doing this.
I'm happy you're happy.
It doesn't have to be me.
I'm happy you're happy. The pressure is on. Ah, okay, hold on. Embedding into the website. It works. Oh, I think it does. Okay, I wonder if there's a way to make it bigger. Good enough. Beggars can't be choosers. All right. So
I'm gonna keep an eye on the question in the chat on YouTube.
Wonderful. And then, okay. And Lavi,
yes.
Can you make sure that if you go on to the dfp-gallery.com website, you can press play and it'll play the YouTube, the live stream?
It does. I confirm it.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're live in all places. Oh, I'm looking at that was fun. I was looking at a frozen version of everyone because it was just a snapshot. I was like, wait, I think everyone's frozen. Okay. We're gonna wait a few minutes and let some people come in because, hi, Christine.
Hey. Hi.
Hi, I'm so excited to see you guys.
So excited to see you.
Like face to face. This is amazing.
So good. So good.
I'm just gonna mute myself. And should I turn my video off until it's time for us to talk?
It's totally up to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's totally up to you. Otherwise, it's just going to be me breathing on here for a few minutes.
Okay.
People really enjoy that part. So, yeah, so we're going to give it a few minutes and then we'll get started. I just wanted to actually have my list. I meant to print it out, but I did not. So I'm going to pull that up so I can be sure to follow along with what I'm doing. Okay. I'm going to give it like 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. Yes. I'm just making sure everything's ready to go on the website. Okay, Lauren's coming on. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Does everyone feel ready?
Fine, ready. Sweating already.
I know, right? Does everyone have their drinks right next to them? Kleenex, snacks? Good. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
Everyone looks so lovely. I'm glad I got out of my pajamas for once. Okay, so we're going to just kick this off, opening reception for our very second exhibit, which is very exciting. And what makes this exhibit something different than our previous exhibit was the previous exhibit was an open call for all photographers to submit, whereas this exhibit was specific for our wonderful DFP member photographers. And we were really excited to be able to show basically the incredible work that comes out of this community, as well as get your feelings on 2021 through your imagery. So it was quite interesting when we were trying to think of a theme. We were like, well, we just want to see the best of like the best of their work. And then it's like, no, let's narrow this down to be 2021, because 2021 was the year where we had hoped things would be calming down and a bit different with the pandemic. But we realized that it was also quite tangled with ups and downs. And so we thought it would be really interesting to see year 2 of the pandemic, and how I think with year 1 of the pandemic in 2020, everything felt very, very foreign to us naturally. And by 2021, we became old pros. And I think that some of the imagery, you can see that. And in addition to that, some of the imagery that the jurors for the exhibit chose showed that life is still going on. The world is still turning. Things are happening. People are having babies. Kids are still playing. People are still taking care of each other, all of those kind of things. And so it's just really a good overview of humanity and what documentary family photography is all about, which is that there are these experiences that are relatable, even if we haven't experienced them ourselves, that we can see an image and feel like I understand that. So I think that's really one of the best things that's been shown through the work chosen by the jurors of this exhibit. We have one juror on with us today, Samantha Hines. We are thrilled to have you. And you know what? I should really quickly introduce myself. So awesome, forgot to do that. So I'm Ash Rodatz. I am the CEO and co-founder of Documentary Family Photographers Worldwide. And we are a photography community. Anna, I always defer to you. So, we provide education, we provide resources, and basically community for photographers who want to show images of real life. One of our missions is to be able to redefine the word family and show that it means more than what we're used to seeing of a mom, a dad, and a couple of kids. Family can be a number of things. Sometimes family is what we choose it to be. It's not always our blood relatives. It could be our community. There is a very diverse makeup of family, and we find it really important to expand on the definition of family. So that's what we've been working towards. It's a continuing process, but I think more and more we're getting there because we get to see a variety of work coming in and a variety of amazing photographers in the community that are photographing not only their own families, but putting themselves out there and photographing other people who have diverse family makeups. So, and then I have Anna Guasado. She is the co-founder of DFP and also part owner, and as well as Lavinia. And they both were really the ones that put this members exhibit together. So I just did tech support.
Well, a little more than that, but
Yeah, I always feel like tech support, web support, tech support. No. But yeah, so they've been really working hard, and this is something so Anna and Lavinia are both kind of in charge of community outreach and community, what they can do for the members of DFP. And this was one of the things. They're like, let's do an exclusive exhibit for members only. And this is something that we want to continuously do. So it's not going to be just a one-time thing. We want to do this multiple times and really, be able to showcase members' work. So yeah, do you have anything to add, Lavi or Anna? Wow. What?
I'm really excited to be here. No, can you hear me well?
Nah.
Because I think I'm having problems with my sound or my connection.
It's mixed. Okay, go ahead, Lavinia.
Okay, so what can I say? I am grateful for this family, for this community, for DFP and everything that you two have created, because I finally found my place into not into the world, but into a niche of this world, and I feel loved and seen. And this 2021, I thought it would be so different than 2020. It was not. So I'm looking forward to, we'll see what 2022 will bring. But I know that we are in this together, and the DFP community is quite strong and quite big, and I feel supported, and this is the importance.
Yeah. It's been a nice place to land through all of this.
Definitely. And like, it's nice to see people grow into our community and to be part of this, and to be to witness how the entire world finally starts to see us as, let me say that, as proper professional photographers, not just simple family photographers.
That's right. Absolutely. It's hard work, damn it.
Yes.
It's not easy. It's not just snapshots.
Nope.
So, so what we're going to do is we're opening up the Life in 2021 exhibit. And we'll talk a little bit about that and how all of that works. But first, what we wanted to do was talk to our juror, Sam Hines. In addition to Samantha Hines, we had Mercy Haruna, I think I'm saying her last name correctly, and Nikki Boone. And unfortunately, Mercy wasn't able to make it because she's ill, and Nikki is in New Zealand and probably still asleep if she's smart. So we got lucky, and at least we got Sam to show up and be a part of this.
Damn right.
Damn right. Absolutely, we did. So we were so excited when we reached out to Sam, Mercy, and Nikki to say, hey, will you mind, going through a bunch of images and choosing your favorites, and, here's the theme. And all of them said yes pretty immediately. So we're like, whoo, check that off that list, that we people actually want to do this. And yeah, we just feel honored to be able to have your perspective as well. We were also really, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess inspired by the different selections that you all chose. We were laughing because there was a lot of images submitted, and almost every juror chose a different image. Oh, look, Nikki is joining us. She just came in.
Nice.
Hold on.
Wait, I was wondering about that. You said every juror chose a different image?
Almost, which was wild. I was like, wait, how is this possible? There was a few, Anna, how many was it? Like 3 or 4 had the same, like where multiple jurors chose. But I think Anna's frozen, or she's just really good at smiling like that. Anyways, at least she's stuck on a good spot. But yeah, we had just a handful of images where multiple judges chose. So it was really funny. And that's how it goes, when you have multiple jurors or judges looking through images, they're interpreting things different. And not only that, but we all see the world different, and what we feel pulled to, varies. So, hey, Nikki.
Hey, Nikki.
We were just talking about you.
I didn't see me just getting dressed as I ran into here, going, shit, I'm not the camera on, I'm not even dressed.
We were just saying we were so happy to have you and Sam and Mercy as jurors for this exhibit, and that you all are amazing. So she's like,
She's like, I know, right?
you know how it goes.
Hey, Sam.
So, and one thing I did want to point out is Sam was so gracious in telling us that we still lack a lot of diversity in the photography submitted in this community or shown in this community, obviously what we see. And that's something that we are absolutely trying very hard to, we are consciously working on it and coming up with ways. And we're talking about diversity across the board of all types. And so, yeah, we'd really love to show more of that kind of work as well. So we're working on it. And I was very grateful to Sam for noticing that, because I think that's important, that when someone notices and says like, hey, have you noticed this? We're like, yeah, we noticed. What do we do? Help. We're trying. No, but we're working on it, and actively trying to diversify what is shown in the community, as well as encouraging photographers to go out there and shoot more diverse work. So yes. With that said, Lavi, did you want to, how long was I supposed to talk right now? Let me look at, oh my God, I'm only 1 minute over. I was looking at my schedule. Go ahead.
You did very well. Just for statistics, only 8 photos were chosen by the judges, by multiple judges. And from this 8, only 2 received 3 votes from all 3 judges. So that was quite an achievement, I think. Let's start with the questions for the judges, like to warm up our little round table. Would you like to tell us a little bit about you, how you started your beginnings, just so just for the people that, I don't know, they were under a rock and then they don't know you yet?
They do now.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm Sam. I am in Denver now, but I'm originally from Oklahoma. I've been here for, I'd say 4 years now. So about as long as I've had an actual business. So I do theoretically documentary family photography. Times have been lean during COVID. You know how that goes. But so I actually started, like I've only started photography like 5 years ago. And when I started, I was actually shooting, what do you call it? Macro bug photography, which I loved, and which is not that different from documentary photography, if you think about it, because you can't tell the bugs what to do. And so I really, really enjoyed like you have to wait for a moment, right? Like you want to wait for the bug to do a thing. Not to get too far off topic here, but it was very similar. And then when I finally did start photographing humans, I remember thinking, man, if this were like the way that I was photographing, which was completely documentary, if this were a thing that people would actually pay for, I would do this. And then I found out that it was a thing, and I was like, yay. So here we are. That's how I got started. And like I said, I've only had my business for 4 years, and it really started to pick up. And then COVID hit. So now I've just been, I've really been getting into photographing for nonprofits, for businesses here in Denver, stuff like that, just trying to fill the time. So that's it.
Sam, I had no idea that you photographed bugs. And
Yes.
now I just love you even more.
Oh,
That's-
yeah, they're actually on my website.
That's
under personal.
amazing.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
How funny. That's true. And they're not that different from humans, right?
No, very similar.
It's funny. Do you want to chat, Nikki? Tell us about you.
Yeah. Sam, I may have stalked your website, so I did know that you did the insect thing, but that's so freaking cool. I've got a son who's like obsessed with insects, like obsessed. So I have showed him some of your stuff, which is pretty cool. And you're right, the kids are not that different, especially the earwigs, right?
The what?
The earwigs. You were saying they're not dissimilar to kids, right? And I'm like,
Earwigs. Yes.
just get in there, right? Just get right in there. They don't
right.
go away.
They will not go the hell away. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I hear you on that
Parallel.
one. Yeah, so I'm in New Zealand, and I'm not too sure. What am I supposed to be talking about? Just how I got into it?
Yes, just the beginning.
All right, I guess. So I started photographing my kids because we pulled them out of school and we were being harassed by every friend, family about how they weren't going to do anything with their days. So it started out just proving to others that they were doing shit. I mean, it originally started out proving to others that they were normal when everybody told us they weren't going to be normal, but it turns out they're not normal. So that didn't actually equate to much, but it was just proof that they were doing things. And then I started printing out the pictures and putting on the walls and realizing that the kids really got a lot out of seeing themselves in pictures on the wall. So it just escalated from there, really. In black and white, because I'm essentially lazy and I learned to photograph in the darkroom, and I just tried to emulate that. So that's kind of how that eventuated. And now my kids are growing up, and nobody told me about that part of parenting. I would still photograph them, but it's all changing. So now I'm quite keen to see if I can do the same thing for other people. So that's a thing that's happening.
Have you started photographing other families there in New Zealand?
I have been photographing other families for years, to be honest, but not in terms of receiving money. So that's just purely because we're surrounded by like really interesting people that I just can't. I mean, I'm sure you guys will understand that you just can't not photograph, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I have a few families that I photograph in Colorado, actually. But yeah, so there's COVID. But we'll see how that goes.
And you're going to come back to me.
Oh my goodness. Bring me there now. Your boys are growing up and I'm not there. Do you know how
I
much
know. What's that?
it hurts? They're growing up and there's no, I hope your camera's in front of them. It better be.
I've been so bad with, yeah. We'll talk about that later.
Okay. Yeah.
Anybody else felt uninspired? No. Yeah. I would, anybody that's on here, I would definitely have you come out and photograph my family. So you want to come to Germany? Let me know.
You do. Trust me, you do. You want to go to Germany. You want to meet Ashley's boys. Just saying.
Just saying. They're pretty special. And I don't know. I'm not that bad. No.
You're an added bonus, I'll say.
I actually do want to do that. I might just fly out there.
You better.
Yeah.
That would be brilliant.
Can I stay
That's
with
what
you?
That's what I
No,
should do.
But New Zealand is not letting anyone in or
I'm
out.
in Germany too, so you have two of us.
Yeah, you could do Anna and my family.
I'll just hop around the world, guys. I'll make a list.
That's right.
Do that.
Anybody who wants to come, you let me know.
And then you come to Italy to eat like good food and enjoy the sun, which I know you don't need in Denver, but
Exactly.
It's very sunny here. Actually, do you know, fun fact, Denver gets more sun per year than Miami.
What?
Really?
Right.
That is
Google it.
wild.
Yeah.
That is
So, you know.
absolutely wild.
Wow. So it's dry and
Mhm.
cold.
Oh, well, it's
And-
actually not even that cold. I mean, it gets cold in the winter-ish, but I mean, like this past winter, we've had like 70-degree days. 70 and 60. I mean, global warming is actually,
I
not
think.
helping. So that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
Right,
However,
yeah.
I like gardening. So anyway, I feel like I've gotten us off track ever so slightly.
I mean, it's fine. We
Okay.
enjoy listening. So go ahead, Lobby.
Not that much, because my next question was related to the fact that like all of you chosen photos that reminded, like, with a theme of water or people in water. So I was wondering, the 2021 was, I need to stay afloat, or okay, just let it flow. So the water, what does the water mean to you, and why did you select those photos?
Oh, I don't know if I thought of it that way, but I can tell you I was definitely just floating in 2021. Like, just trying not to drown. That's about it. And God for marijuana. That's all I got to say.
That's right. Colorado.
Come on down. But no, I don't remember. So you're saying there are a lot of photos that we chose with water in them?
Oh yeah.
I don't know, honestly. And the thing is, I was thinking about how you said that a lot of none of us really chose the same images. And I think really that might be because they were all really good. And like, I had so many in my little bucket, and it was so hard to move some out. I really, like, if you asked me which ones did you choose, I would probably be able to tell you for sure some of them, but the rest, like, I don't know. Like, I had to force myself to choose some out because there were so many strong photos and so many that I just personally connected to, like, because I was really impressed with the variety of ways that people were able to show 2021. Like, when I went into it, I tried not to really go in with any expectations, just sort of with an open mind, like, how was everybody else's year? And then I looked at the selections and I was like, oh, pretty much like mine, I see. Just there was a lot of like really weird shit that I loved, because I thought, like, a lot of times that was sort of a refuge. And I don't know, are we going to look at like individual pictures at one point? But there were some that I just thought, like, they just made me feel so strongly like, we're just using our humor at this point. Like, that's what we have left, right? Is our sense of humor. And that's going to get us through this shit. There's a lot of that. There was a lot of, like, I don't know, poignant moments. Like I said, if I had to go back and choose today, I might choose, completely different ones, because there was so much strong stuff. And there were some that I ultimately didn't choose because I was like, well, I just personally can't see the connection to 2021. Like, maybe if I had the context, that would help a little bit. But otherwise, I just wasn't sure. But either way, it was just a whole lot of strong work. So I'm really grateful that everyone had, like, and I was really hit too. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot. This will be the last thing, but I was just really hit too with, like, I haven't personally submitted in a while to a contest. So I was personally just really touched that people, it was a hard ass year, and to put yourself out there like that is a hard thing to do. So I'm kind of a ridiculously emotional person, but I was really touched, like, moved that everyone submitted. So thank you guys for that. And it was really fun. It was really enjoyable. Like, I loved going through it.
Okay.
Okay, Nikki, you go.
Can I be the devil's advocate in here?
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, because I kind of felt, not that without a doubt, there are like they're all strong images, but I kind of felt the opposite, and that I did wonder if there was a lot of the same in it. I don't know, like, everything was, it was almost like if I was to scroll through Instagram, that was what I was feeling. That sounds horrible, but I was feeling like there was a lot of same stuff that I had been seeing a lot over 2021. I don't really know how I'm describing this, but I wonder if amongst being in our own space in 2021, there was also a lot of being within the documentary family world whether that be through social media or whether that be through other competitions. And I felt like I was looking for a bit more, and I don't really know, my words are really crap at 7 o'clock in the morning, sorry. I just wondered whether there was a lot of looking within our world of documentary family and not outside our world of documentary family stuff. So what I was seeing was super strong, but I guess I was looking for something more unexpected. There's definitely some of that in there, but yeah, I guess that's what I'm looking for. I wanted to be really like, whoa, like where did that come from? That is not a way that I have seen somebody looking at the world. Does that make any sense to anyone?
Yeah.
And there was definitely a bit of it in there, but I don't know. I just wanted to be, I felt like I wanted more of that unexpectedness coming through.
Are you saying it felt like more like what you've seen already to represent?
A little bit, I think.
Or are you just okay?
Yeah, I think that is what I'm saying. Yeah, it feels like, I feel like what would be really interesting is if we could all zoom out, like right out, rather than inside our world of documentary family work. What would happen if we zoomed right out and took in, it's a bit cliche because everyone's saying it, took in from all the other sources. I think it was super easy in 2021, 2020 to get right inside our world because we were inside our own homes and we were soaking up, I don't know, for me anyway, soaking up everything that was out there. And there was a lot out there, a lot of courses coming out, a lot of Instagram stuff coming out. But I think because there was so much within our world coming out that it was easy to get right into that and not zoom out into everything else. I'm not really making a lot of sense, am I?
Well, I'm trying. Sometimes it's hard for me to follow some like more abstract concepts anyways. I'm trying, but I think maybe more risk. Is that what you're saying? People were too, oh yeah, Melissa, you said people were maybe too safe, you felt like? That's so funny because I thought not that. But I will also say I don't know if this is a different perspective or why, but I was not really consuming a lot of documentary family photography last year at all, or even still at this point. I'd kind of left some groups and I haven't posted on Instagram in like a year.
Yeah, so Sam, you are and will always be an anomaly. So you don't actually count.
I don't count. Yeah, I'm a weirdo.
And I'm not suggesting that is what everybody was doing at all for a second. All I know is that whether everyone was consuming it or not, it was there. Yeah. And I know I find it hard not to consume what I love because I love documentary family work. And there was a lot of it around and there were a lot of courses around. And yet I certainly am not suggesting that's what everybody did.
Right.
But I do, it's social media in general, right? And I always hesitate. Like you said, you haven't submitted, Sam, to competitions.
In a while. Yeah, it's been a while.
But I've always struggled with that. And I'm speaking as a hypocrite here because I have submitted to competitions, but I struggle with competitions sometimes because to judge something is naturally you're judging it around what you know and around what you've seen and around past competitions. And that's just how they work. That's just what it is. But in doing that, there's a comparison game going on. So you're always being compared to something or to what is. And so even this competition, you're comparing what you see to the other pictures within that portfolio that are being presented, right? So there's always a comparison game. So it's always the tricky thing to tread through, right? In competitions in general. So yes, absolutely brave for submitting, but I think it's always good to keep in the back of your head that everything's being judged on a comparison, whether that be through the judges, through what they know, or through what they're seeing within that competition. So yeah, again, it's just interesting to know. And the other thing was the water. I think I don't know why people, like, I'm drawn to water, but I feel like water has that metaphorical kind of transitional thing, you know, like to cross through water, to cross into water, to cross from air to water. Like there's that transitional thing with water. I don't know. That might be a metaphorical thing, but it's what fascinates me. I've got a gazillion pictures of our kids in the water or crossing water, like crossing rivers or crossing creeks or whatever. So I don't, maybe.
Hi, Mercy.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
I hope
Hi.
you're feeling okay.
I've just come back from taking a PCR test, so I have to wait to see.
Oh no.
Hopefully it's negative because I have so much to do this week. I can't.
Oh no.
I hope so too. My goodness.
I really hope so.
I feel like I joined the conversation in a random spot, so I'm like, what was the question?
Yeah, what was the question, Lavi?
So how come so many of you chosen images that have as topic or background the water? Was it more needed to stay afloat or let it flow kind of thing? And now Nikki said that the water for her is connection, is like passing through something, going towards something.
Definitely wasn't intentional for me. I didn't see that theme, but now I think I have to look back at the images because
I can,
I
yeah.
kind of see them again and see what.
I'm going to share my screen briefly just to.
Yeah. I want to see some photos.
Yeah, I loved the one with the pool, in the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of water, but I don't think it was intentional. Maybe because we were spending a lot of time in water.
It could be. Yeah, there was quite a few with water.
Quite a few black and whites in my selection, possibly because I love black and white.
Funny how that works. That's great.
Well, can I piggyback on what Nikki was saying and ask another thing? What do you think the documentary family photographers aren't doing that they should be doing at the moment? The question is for all three of you.
That's a fine question.
Yeah, the should is tricky because I'm like the last person to suggest what somebody should be doing.
Well,
No,
what are not they doing? Let's just start with that.
I think I don't know what people are and aren't doing, but I think something that was said to me by a really good friend years ago is recognizing that social media is a waterfall. It's just a torrent of input. It's an absolute torrent of input. And I wonder what could change if instead of trying to take in the torrent of, it's like trying to fill a glass. You want to fill a glass of water. The difference between chucking it underneath Niagara Falls and actually turning on the tap or having a tiny waterfall in a creek. So that glass is just, it's going to overflow. It's going to smash, the water's going to come out in Niagara Falls. But if you could selectively find the right tiny waterfall in a creek, then that cup would fill up. Okay. So social media is like this torrent. It's just coming in and it's coming in and you're scrolling, but how much of it is actually going in and making a difference to anything? I don't know. So the idea, I just wonder what could happen if instead you took one book, I'm fanatical about books, and you read that book every morning with your cup of coffee and you flick through the pages of that book every morning for a couple of weeks a month and soaked that up. I just wonder what could be different if that happened instead. That's not a should or that nobody's doing that, but just a thought.
Do you mean instead of consuming social media, you're stepping away?
I guess instead of, or, you know, man, I don't suggest that you go away from social media. I just wonder what could happen if you did that. Maybe instead of social media, or maybe with a limited social media, or just maybe it would change your frame of reference when you are looking at social media. Maybe not. I don't know. I just wonder how many people have tried it or are doing it, or, you know, it would just change things. I mean, I said earlier, and I feel terrible about, you know, like, I think this is all the same, and without saying, hey, how about this instead? So I'm just thinking, you know, I've just said this thing. So what do we do about it? And maybe this is something.
Yeah, I was really curious too, because of what your answer was in particular, just because of what you were thinking in the beginning, that it all seemed kind of similar. And I feel like there is, you know, definitely room to grow. But I have no idea, you know, where that place is or what needs to happen. Like you, like, I don't know what that thing is. I'm sure you're right though about, well, I know that you're right about like the inundation of information, things that we get. You know, part of the reason why I haven't been online or on Instagram as much. There's something to be said, right, for instead of just letting it all come to you, to also like maybe being more thoughtful, like curating what it is that you're looking at. Maybe that could help a little bit. Or just, you know, picking a time of day where you spend some time with the work that you do, that you know that you like, and figuring out why you like it. Things like that. That makes sense to me. But yeah,
right there, what you just said, that it's not necessarily picking up a random book, and it's something that you're drawn to, and just soaking that up.
Yeah, well, because that was a thing that in the beginning, when I first started documenting photography, I had really bad issue with, like a lot of us, just feeling jealous. You know, if I saw somebody's picture and I was like, damn, her work is good, you know, and I would just get irritated. And then I thought, well, what fucking good is that going to do? Like,
yeah, right.
Instead of being irritated, why don't you take 1 minute and figure out, well, what it is about their work that you like? What is it that's different? What is it that's resonating that is not in your work? And then learn from it and go there, instead of sitting there and crying about, you know, how much better so-and-so is. And of course, remembering that, you know, I'm brand new, so I don't get to just be good because I want to be, you know, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't remember where the hell I was going with that. Did I finish my thought?
You did.
Okay, cool. Don't always remember.
I will say that, you know, obviously Anna and I in particular, we see a ton of documentary work because of the community, and also people submitting, you know, their work to the website, and, you know, all of those kind of things. And that is something that we have discussed before of, you know, sometimes it can feel like you're seeing the same thing, just like with a slight variation. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just again, we have so many strong photographers in this community. And so when one does it really good, it like blows everything else out of the water. And all of the other ones are like, like that was good until this one came along, or the original was the best, you know? But one of the things in particular that I know, that I usually encourage my students to do, and Melissa, Christine, I'm like looking where my students are, who's worked for me, is actually doing that type of work of, you know, we can be drawn to things and say, oh, I really love the way that person photographs. Oh my God, it's amazing. Their work is beautiful. And like Sam said, you can look at it and say, okay, what is it about that work that's drawing me in? But still remaining true to yourself, because otherwise you end up being all over the board, you know, just all over the place, and not creating really what's driving your heart. I will say that for every person on this Zoomy thingy we have going, I would say that all of your work is incredibly strong, which is, all of you had multiple people choose your work or multiple photos chosen, and you all have a strong individual voice. And I would say that is, that says a lot. And again, also with the other selections that were included into the exhibit, they were strong, strong photos. So, I mean, I love being able to look at a photo and be like, oh, there's a Gretchen, without even knowing it was Gretchen's, which is why I could never be a judge for something like this. I just know everyone's work. But, and I liked seeing people take risks, like Christine's photo with, I can pull it up. I already told her, I'm obsessed with this photo of, hold on, let me see if I can click it and make it bigger, and then I'll share my screen. Here we go. I just find it so just like different, and I just love it so much. I just love it. So yeah, it's great to see people pushing themselves to do different things and letting their
that one, I don't know if I chose that one, but I like that one. I meant to.
It's really, I can't remember, but
it's so interesting. So that was the kind of thing I was talking about, right? Where I was like, oh, this is not the sort of thing I'm used to seeing.
Right. Exactly my point. Exactly my point. This is not what I expect to see within this realm. And that's what I was getting at. So you're right. I think, Ashley, we're seeing some great work, and it's becoming almost like that fishbowl. Like, the work is amazing, but we're not seeing outside. Whereas I think that is coming from somewhere else. Yeah. It's unexpected, right?
Yeah.
It's not what you expect to see.
Right.
We all know what that means, what you expect to see within the genre. When I say that, we all can picture something.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at what I enjoy with Gretchen's in particular is you usually have these very complex scenes going on, because you have a lot of, I don't know if you just hang out with a lot of people or if those are all of your kids. But I always enjoy seeing, oh wow, she's done a great job including multiple people in a frame. And yeah, I can pull up an example of that. Hold on one sec. It's not easy to do. And yeah, you don't really have any merging going on. It's just a lovely, lovely photo.
Gretchen has mastered the art of putting people in the clear spaces. She's a master.
Yes, absolutely.
Including Ladybird. Always Ladybird. I love Ladybird, the dog. One day I will meet Ladybird.
So funny. Yeah. And then it's the same again. I was saying with Lauren's work. Where is Lauren? Here she is. So I really love you always have also great compositions, and there's just something about the way you see light and the way you tone your images that make them feel almost cinematic, I think is what I'm looking for. It's very beautiful. So this is the type, when submitting to an exhibit or a competition, these are the types of things, okay, not saying you have to copy Lauren's toning or Gretchen's amazing use of space or Christine's cat picture, but being able to push yourself in other ways to say, this is where, what I'm really drawn to. This is what makes my stomach get flutters in it. And those kind of things. I was going to show really quick.
And can I say something?
Yeah.
I think there's something potentially in being really good, like you were saying with Lauren's really cinematic shots, and Gretchen's so great at her multiple people in clear spaces. There's something that is potentially so great about being really good at something and being okay with that, and not necessarily
Yes.
looking at everything else and saying, but I want to do this, and then I want to do this. Like if you look at the great directors and cinematographers of movies, I mean, you think of even like your obvious, like your Wes Anderson. I mean, he's really good at what he does.
Yeah.
And he keeps doing that. We keep watching his movies. We're still watching it. And we know that this is a Wes Anderson. We know that that is similar to what his last movie is in some respects, but we still love it. But he's very, very good at that. And that's why it's so great. So he even, like if you look at the Coen brothers movies, they will even use same actors. So they're getting really good at what they do and getting better at it. And they're still getting in the same actors and still having very similar threads and themes even that are going through their movies, but they're very, very good at it. And we love that. So they don't have to go elsewhere and then make something randomly different because and I think even in our photography, we can be very, very good at what we do and just keep doing that, right? It doesn't mean it's the same because within that theme and within what we're doing, there's going to be diversity, almost more so, because the deeper you dive into it, the more you'll see around using that. If that makes any sense.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely. Just diving deeper into yourself.
Maybe.
You know, I mean, we're all just so special. Lavinia, did you have any other questions for them? That's a great conversation. Thank you.
I do have a lot of questions still here. I was looking at the clock and I was wondering if we should go on with this or try to
Let's
ask some
talk to
our photographers.
Yeah, let's talk to our photographers and then we can always come back if it tickles our fancy.
Well, I'm gonna pick on Gretchen, being that she was nominated quite a few times. So yes, your images make me take a breath of air for some reason. I don't know. You really have a wonderful way of filling the space, and this is just my compliment to you. I was wondering, on what's going to happen. What do you think is going to happen for you next year? What are you waiting for? What your desires are? Your desires, gosh.
Oh gosh. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, like I feel like I'm still trying to take a breath of fresh air. 2021 for me was it was really different than 2020. 2020 was, even though it was kind of scary, it was also like kind of exciting and different. And, we weren't losing, me personally, we weren't losing people close to us or anything like that. We were mostly just kind of having fun with it. And then 2021 was really different. We just had a lot of tension. I felt like the whole year was filled with tension on all sorts of scales, from a global scale with the pandemic, a national scale with an attack on our capital first thing in January, a local scale, we're going through a drought, and on a personal level, I had in January, I started moving my mom to my small little Wyoming town, moving her out of the house she'd been in for almost 50 years because of health issues. And so, dealing with aging parents, and then we found out my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And so for me, like the couple of images I submitted here, there's an underlying tension here. The one we're looking at, we're dealing with like an extreme low water situation. But then there's also this silver lining. And one of the things I love about kids is they always find the silver lining. So they're kind of funneled into this one spot. This is December 12th. So we should have a lot of snow by now at this time. And we didn't, obviously, but it was cold. And so the kids, they were bemoaning not having snow, but they found the silver lining, which was this little tiny pool of water, frozen ice to play on. And 2022, to answer your question, like I don't know. I don't know what my expectations are. I'm really hoping to travel. 2020 pandemic hit right when my kids were at a great age to start really getting out there and traveling, and then we've been stuck at home. So I have hope for 2022, and I think I also feel a sense of resignation, like, okay, like this is just how it's going to be, and we have to figure out how to work within it. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
You did. Thank you so much. I have a question now for Carolina. Am I pronouncing it right? It's Carolina. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
right.
So you two have 2 photos selected in the exhibition, and they are quite different and similar in a way. Like what I get from them is the freedom of childhood and the overwhelming of motherhood. Can you talk about this? Like, why do you feel this was representative for you for this year, the past year?
Maybe I start with the motherhood picture because, as Gretchen said, the 2020 year was very exciting, kind of, it was special. And in 2021, I felt a lot of exhausting. All this homeschooling and these extras because of this flexibility that was burdened on us. I had the feeling that I was exhausted and the families around me, there was so much exhaustion in the area. And especially mothers had to keep a lot together and had so much extra work. And motherhood is normally quite exhausting. And therefore I wanted to choose this picture because it's, for me, it's 21 and it's motherhood per se, and it's especially for 21 being a mother. And so I like this mother that tries to keep everything together, and and you see her expression in the face, and children crying and screaming in every want all the extras. And so this was for me quite something I felt in my environment and also in myself. So I also felt a lot of exhaustion. And the other picture is for me a little bit of hope and of the special. What's so special about children, that they are just trying to try to do their thing, and even in special situations they try to keep their freedom. And just this girl was just running, and then she throw away her shoes, and it was such a freeing feeling for me. And I'm so and it inspired me to take this photo and to see how children just embrace their life and the moment and being in the moment and getting a lot of freedom out of it. So and this is the opposite of, so maybe it's the child, the point of view of the children is this run free my child, and the other point of view is the point of view of the adults and the exhaustion. And yes, and so I'm very it's so great that you took these two because they really fit together, because they're so opposite. You know, I mean, I hope it's not confusing what I'm saying, but this is for me my 2021, and I hope to get more of this feeling for 2022.
I love this picture of yours. There's something about, like, we're taught compositionally to have where people are running into in the frame, but this is the opposite, and it's so powerful in that you're not necessarily looking at where somebody is running to, but this one's so powerful that makes you think, where is she running from? and the shoes just add to that. So it's that whole symbolism, like what are we leaving and what's important about that, what you've kept in the frame is the important part is what she's leaving behind rather than what she's running to.
Thank you.
Right.
It's so interesting how two people can like completely have different readings just based on, well, like your own context, right? And so for me, I saw it as like the way that children are able to perhaps run into 2021 without fear, right? Like the way that kids can just say, oh, it's a new thing, this will be fun, you know, whereas perhaps the photographer or the viewer might be a little bit more trepidatious as an adult about what 2021 would have to bring, right? With good reason. So that's just kind of what I saw as like a sort of like a, I don't know, a youthful abandon, sort of fearlessness in this photo.
Thank you.
Yeah, I get that too. I feel that too.
Yeah.
It's just so different, isn't it? When you, I mean, if you have put the shoes, so you had more in the frame of where she was running to, as well as the shoes, everything would change.
Oh, here comes the
Because now our thoughts are what she running to, as opposed to with this composition, it's like what she's left behind with that abandon, with that freedom. That's what we're looking at rather than where she's running to, which is cool.
Mercy, by any chance, are you still with us? She's not. So I love that the judges like add something to this conversation. So please feel free to do it, as because the questions are for everyone, and we like a conversation.
I wasn't sure if I was allowed because I had something to say about Gretchen's too.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the one with the color, how you were talking about how this was the one bright spot. I just thought it was interesting that you said that, because that's literally what I got from the photo, was like, you know, surrounded by just sort of coldness and desolation. And yet in the middle, you have literal bright spot, right? Like a brightly colored family that's found a way to find something good amongst all the bullshit. Like that's what I got out of this photo. Like besides it just being, you know, beautifully composed and all of that, was, oh, it's a literal bright spot in the middle of, you know, what is a very difficult situation, with the addition of the dog at the bottom that I personally think of as like, and again, I think this is because my cat was sort of my savior during the pandemic in a lot of ways. Like she's just my ride or die, always there with me. And so it's like, I don't know if this is an older dog, but I pictured as like, you know, sort of the older wizened, I don't know if I'm taking it further than you meant for it to go, like sort of the older wizened dog, just like looking over and making sure that everybody's okay.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Sam, because she actually, I was going to tell Nikki that if you want to meet her, you're going to have to hurry because
yeah,
she is old.
Now.
Yeah, she's struggling. So,
oh, poor thing. Yeah, I just saw, you know, her as like, oh, just like sort of the overseer, just like, oh, I'm glad the humans are doing okay today, you know, because some days I got to step in and make sure everyone's okay. So that's where my brain went.
yeah,
Gretchen, please ask her to hold on to this. Please ask her to hold on to the summer. I'm trying to get there. I think your use of contrast is like phenomenal that you pulled back. So it wouldn't send the same message if it was in black and white, and it wouldn't send the same message if you were closer up or if you tried to use Ladybird as a layer or any of that. It's the fact that you've pulled back and shown that story, and that comes through so clear.
good. Thank you.
Okay, Christine, you also had 2 images selected that were quite different from my point of view. One is like almost pure joy, the photo with the cat, and the other one is a new beginning. I don't know, like a new way of intending our routine. So working from home with a newborn in your hand. How was this year for you?
It was I think they're different. Now that you say that, is this one with the newborn is from a client session, and the other one is a personal photo. So 2021, I chose this photo because this was so many people. Like, they were parenting and working from home, and it just seemed to be like the majority of the people I talked to, this is what they were doing. And this family was lovely. This was their first child, and their newborn, and dad was even saying, "I'm sorry, I have to go check in with work." And he was so large compared to the little baby. I was happy to make this one for them. My 2021, the first year was, a bit crap. So the kids were still in online school, sometimes going in, sometimes not. At the beginning of the pandemic, the neurodivergence of my daughter came to a head. So we were trying to find strategies to cope with her needs. And one of her coping mechanisms was our cat. And it got to the point where she would leave online school when she was feeling very overwhelmed, and she would run to her room and she would just pet the cat. And now the cat lives in her bedroom pretty much 90% of its life is up there. So this one was taken later in 2021. And the new school year, when the girls were back, that was definitely a new beginning. Things got so much better for them. Working with my daughter, things got better for her. And I was making this photo as part of a course, a mentorship that I was in all of 2021, which was a new beginning for me. It was having me reach out and look at different sources for inspiration. And I really wanted to show, she was playing with the cat, and I wanted to show the intensity of that relationship. So I actually used flash in this, which for me was a risk because I don't use it that often. And she was just playing, and then we made this together, and the look on his face kind of says it all about how we felt a lot during 2021, and you just kind of tolerated it. But she was able to push through, and as a family, I think we ended on an up note, and compared to, the rest of the year.
Judges?
That's interesting, because I thought this was a self-portrait the whole time.
No, this is my 11. She's 11 today, actually.
Oh, but that's awesome. I mean, that we both had kitty friends to get us through the pandemic. I love that.
Yeah, like an obsession. It's almost a little bit weird for her.
Oh, no. And so you said she's neurodiverse?
Yes.
Yeah, my kiddo is too. So I feel you, sister, on that.
Yeah,
Well,
the online was the
oh
worst
yeah, we
nightmare.
pulled them out. I was like, we're not doing that shit. It's not gonna happen. No, but yeah, we were talking about this earlier, right? This photo. I loved that it was different. I love that you used flash. Is it the only one in the group that used flash? Maybe, I don't know. Everything. I loved how different it was. I loved how strange it was, and as I said, it just personally connected to me. For reasons like 2021 was very about my cat. So always is.
Yeah, I love this picture because it's not what you expect when I have what you expect from documentary family work, and this is not, which is one of the reasons I loved it. But yeah, there's so much geometry, I guess, in there. There's so much compositionally in there that just makes it so powerful. And your daughter's the gaze of your daughter, and the parallels between the geometry of the verticals and the horizontals, and the eye. I mean, it's awesome.
So good.
Thank you both. Thank you both.
I just wanted to add something. So I don't know if we already talked about this before I joined in, but when I was selecting, I had to think about my understanding of documentary family photography, and that informed my decision. And lots of my picks were based on individual images working as individual images. And context is very important with a lot of work that we do. And an image like this, for example, without context, didn't really say much to me. Now hearing the story behind it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. But I guess it just highlights to me the importance of text. And, you know, if this was if this was an image in a series of images, I would probably get a lot more from it. But just looking at it as a single image, it didn't jump out to me. So the other thing that I was thinking about was the line between kind of like fine art and family documentary, because sometimes I feel like family documentary is a bit like, what's the definition? Like, what is the official definition of family documentary photography? Because in my mind, this isn't a family documentary image the way that I know family documentary to be, which is, I guess, what Nikki and Sam have been talking about. You know, what is the thing that we see all the time, and this is unexpected and stuff. And I just like that it's challenging me, like, oh, okay, this is something different. This is another way to do family documentary, right? But if this was entered into a competition, well, not this one, but if this was entered into another kind of competition that was following the strict documentary rules, is this a documentary image?
That's
is it
a good point.
one own, or is it part of a story, a series of?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I had thought of that, because I thought this was a self-portrait, which were going to be allowed in the competition. So I don't know, actually, if you worked on it together, if that would still be considered documentary. I don't know. Any other thoughts? Ash,
Well,
were you?
I did have in the transparency, like I wrote a note on the thing, transparency. I was photographing my daughter with her cat. She held it up and said, "Mommy, take a picture of this." And then I wrote, I don't know, is that considered environmental portrait? I never know how to classify these things.
It crosses so many lines, doesn't it? Because you're crossing through fine art to your snapshot, to your environmental portrait, to potentially documentary. But so you're crossing all, which is one of the reasons I love it so much, because there's no rules. It's not fitting into a box.
And my feeling on it, especially if your children are used to you photographing them all the time, there comes a point when they're like, "Mom, like, make a picture of this," or like whatever. And it does become, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Because this is our lifestyle and that we are photographing kids all the time. There's times my kids will pick up my camera and start photographing with it. You know, it is an involved process, but that is our real life. And therefore, to me, it still falls under numerous categories: documentary, fine art. Like, this picture could fall into a lot of things. And I do think it stands well, even alone. And when I think about, we think about environmental portraits, you know, and that's technically quote unquote environment happening around the person. And in those cases, they can be directed and all of these other things. Well, in Christine's daughter's case, she had said that, you know, she is neurodiverse and all of these things, and her environment is based on this kitty cat. So do you know what I mean? Like, to me, it can literally fall in so many spectrums. And yeah, I think I like seeing this different kind of work. And like, I like people that push the envelope.
Like genre pushing type.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like just blow everything, like all of the
all to hell.
The ethics out of the water by any means. But I do think that we should be doing things like playing more with flash, or, you know, pushing ourselves to shoot in different ways that feel good to us, not because someone else is doing it, not because of whatever, but because we want to do that and show this in a certain way, right?
Just to add then, I think that this is good then, because that will sort of because this sameness that we keep talking about is perhaps because we don't see more images that are different like that. So seeing a selection like this will probably get people thinking, myself included, what other kind of documentary family photography for photograph can I be taking?
Right.
And that is just not just the standard sort of like, oh, the layered image or, you know, whatever the obvious thing is. And trying to break the rules a little bit. And I do hope that people look at this gallery and see the variety.
Absolutely.
Because even I looked at it, I was like, okay, does this fall on another? Okay, that's cool. That's, you know, I hadn't sort of, it's good. This is good.
Whoops, sorry.
Yeah, I think this is one that is going to keep me thinking for a while, actually. Which is
it had me thinking, Sam, and I was like, well, I'll submit it. I'm writing the transparency note, and if it doesn't fall in, then it doesn't fall in.
It doesn't
because
work.
I didn't do any directing. She's the one that said, take a picture of this, and I did it. So I don't know what you call that.
Yeah.
It's quite different. It's quite different to your other one. Like it just falls in its own space.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know that I would have picked that the two pictures came from the same photographer, which is kind of
No, I wouldn't have.
Standard family documentary, like this is client work, right? And,
right.
You know, this is exactly what it is. This is client work and the other one work. And it's so interesting how we can explore more in personal work, which is why I think that personal images, personal projects are your best work, are anyone's best work. Not to say that client work can't be great as well, but personal work, because you can put the boundaries a little bit more. You give yourself that freedom. And I think, especially with newbies, when we're coming in looking at a gallery of like what is like the standard family documentary, and we sort of see all the same things all the time, me included, have a vision of what family documentary is, and this sits outside of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, and that's why it's exciting to see, almost like this almost has to me like a street photography feel to it, even though it's like inside and like all these other things. There's this street photography feel to it, and I like that. I like this idea of like, you know, towing the the line there.
Or maybe the issue is with labels. Let's not label anything.
That's right.
Just express ourselves, you know.
Yeah, I would follow this path. This would be really interesting to follow this path deeper.
I agree.
We're gonna move onward to Melissa, and she also had two images, quite very different one from another, chosen for this gallery. One is homeschooling, with which we all had to deal with somehow, and another one is sickness, is the one that you are seeing now, and well, we had to deal with that a lot too. Tell us more about these images, Melissa.
So the one that you're looking at right now is a self-portrait. When I saw that they were being allowed, I was excited, but then also really hesitant, because when I first started photography, I didn't know that what I was doing was documentary photography. And it's just my thing. Like, it's come so naturally to me. It's what I love. And somewhere over the last few years, being with all the different photography groups on Facebook, I kind of lost my way because of the comparison game. And, you know, I'm just like, wow, that's such a great photograph. How'd they do that? And like, at one point I was like, I think I lost my talent because now my stuff sucks. And I was so afraid, because I'm like, I need to get back to what makes me me, what makes me happy, what makes me love doing this. And that's documentary work. And I was like, but people would tell me that this is a portrait, that it's a self-portrait. And I'm like, is that still documentary though? And before I submitted, I asked in a few groups, I'm like, you know, what makes a self-portrait documentary work? And there were honestly some people that told me that it's never documentary. And so I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't submit that. And then, you know, other people were like, I think it depends on, you know, the way that you do it. And so this particular photo was 2021 for me. When people talk about 2021, literally the only thing that comes to my mind is I have cancer. And that was taken the day that I got home from surgery from having a tumor removed. And I literally can't think of anything else of 2021 at all. I went into it hopeful, I think like everybody else did. I was like, 2020 was kind of a shit show. 2021 has to be better, right? And I knew about the tumor, but I didn't know actually until a week after this photo that it was cancer. But yeah, so that's all 2021. And that, so the reason I picked that particular image was it was my representation of 2021, but I also felt that as a sickness or disease, so many people could relate, whether it's COVID or, you know, just anything.
Yeah, it works on multiple levels in that way, right? I'm sorry, were we? Okay. I mean, when I saw this is one that I was like, oh, it's going in. Like, I never second guessed it. Because to me, like, I could cry. It's just that's it, right? Like, that's 2021. It was a fucking ass whooping. Like, it has been like the whole time. And so of course I didn't know for sure what was going on in the photo, but I was like, just wow. It's just so almost too on the nose, right? Like, as far as symbolism is concerned. Yeah,
it has all of that, right? It has that symbolism. It's beautifully shot, like it's very cinematic, but it's also as the details. For me, it was, and I'm not just talking just about the scarring, but it's it's such a storytelling image with your bracelets and the plasters where you've had IVs. I mean, it's that did it for me. That all your storytelling images were there without having to show an entire scene. It was all there in one shot. Even your hands, they're all telling the story. It's very powerful.
Never question whether this is documentary or not. Who cares what the label is? This is storytelling. It's
storytelling at its finest. Yeah.
Period.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, just like you, Sam. I was like, nah, I love this. It's. I mean, I feel very strongly about it because I'm working on a project at the moment that is telling the stories of the transition into motherhood from the perspective of Black mothers in the UK. And the way I've chosen to visualize it is taking a close-up image of their bellies. And I was like, I recognized that. I mean, obviously it's a different story, but it just amazing.
Really, I really hesitated like on a personal level because it is such a personal thing. And that's actually the third of a series of photos that I did that way because I had two procedures prior. After I had my last child, I had my tubes removed because my mental health, I found out I'm neurodivergent at almost 30 years old. And that's a fun time. And so I was like, I'm done having kids. So I had one. And then for some reason, I just decided to take a similar image like that, similar with the hands and the stomach and everything. And then after that, just a few months later, I had a hernia repaired. And through the hernia is how I found out that I had a tumor. And I took the second one, but it was funny because the first image was kind of dark like this. The second one was much brighter. And I was like, oh, that was just before the pandemic. I'm like, oh, this is like a symbol of hope. This is great. And then, you know, when you were saying like, this really is 2021, I feel like not knowing anything behind it, we all thought 2021 was going to be so great, but then realistically, like, that's a shit show right there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Well, to be fair, I didn't actually think it was going to be great. I had a feeling it was going to just keep being shit.
I mean, like, I had hoped that it would be, you know,
Right.
like,
I know what you mean.
Magnificent image.
and then,
Yeah.
so this one, this actually was an assignment. I'm in a year-long mentoring program with Ash and Kirsten and Jenna, and it was I knew it would come back to haunt me. I told them that I didn't really like photographing older kids because I always felt stuck and awkward. And of course, this assignment was teenagers. And I'm like, shit, thanks. And just with the timing of the holidays and because of cancer, we're making a multi-state move. The only person I had available to me was my best friend's daughter, who's almost a teenager. And it was actually really boring at first, but it kind of gave me a new perspective. And in the middle of it, they were doing some homeschooling. She was in public school, and then with the pandemic, virtual wasn't working. And they ended up finding out that she was what they, I guess, the school called a bubble child, where they are doing well enough that they get pushed to the next grade and they don't get help, but they're doing not so well enough. Like, she was several grades behind in certain math concepts. And so they tried reintegrating in school, and it was an absolute horror. And so this was a new book that we had found at the homeschooling store that they were working on. And it was frustrating for them because it was a case of, well, but the teacher said do it this way. And her mom's like, right, but that's frustrating, so let me help you. And smack down, head on the table. And I just loved the way, I feel like we've all been there, even like the pandemic before, but especially the pandemic, whether you're virtual schooling, in person, homeschooling, we've all hit that brick wall with our kids where they're just like, I'm so done. And then having the cell phone there just underneath her head too, I'm like, teenagers just can't let go of that phone. And then from what I've seen in the pandemic, it seems like kids are very much more attached to their technology, just because, I mean, speaking personally, I always said I'd never let my kids be on their tablets all the time. And now I'm like, please go on your tablet. Just give me 5 minutes alone, for the love of God. You know, or if it like keeps them from fighting all day, whatever. And so it just, the way it came together organically. And I just loved her mom's hands in there, just like, okay, let's, relax. It's all right. So.
Wait, is that mom's hands on the right?
Yeah, those are her moms.
Oh, I thought that was another kid.
Nope, that's her mom. Yep, they were just sitting down outside. Like I said, we'd gone to a homeschool store, and it's this new awesome company. It's called Fun Schooling, and it was like an invention book, but did math. And this was where they were realizing that like there was some things that she did not know, or was struggling with a way that it was being taught. And her mom she sat there like a trooper, especially because that's my best friend of 22 years. She's like, I never thought I would be a homeschooling mom. I don't want to be a homeschooling mom, but here I am. And I'm like, yay, pandemics, right?
Did you say fun? This is fun schooling. It looks really fun. It's brilliant.
Yeah, the company's called Thinking Tree, and they use a lot of fun schooling. It's just like fun ways. And they also have a side part where it's called dyslexia games. And so a lot of their stuff is dyslexia and ADHD friendly, which is great because all of my kids are either ADHD or potentially on the spectrum, and as well as my niece.
So we started doing, just a aside, unschooling, in part because of Nikki Boone. She is the first one who ever came, I knew of the concept through her, and I was like, what? That's crazy. We're not doing that. And now look at us. We're like spreading the word. Yes. Like when you said that that's what you were doing and that your kids just basically learn on their own. I mean, it sounds crazy. It sounds like they won't learn anything, but man, do they ever. And kind of to your point with the fun schooling, like you said, wait, it's called fun schooling. Yeah. Like, she's not having fun at all, right? Like, look at this poor kid. But I did like, I liked how it spoke to sort of the overall concept of how we all felt, right, during the pandemic, which was, total fucking faceplant, right? Like, this sucks. So I love that about this. I just had to put in my little plug for unschooling. So thank you, Nikki. I've been meaning to contact you about that.
Please do. Let's have this conversation.
I will.
But I find that hilarious that it would be so neat if you could have that aspect of the fun schooling in there with this picture. You're so good at details, and your details and your storytelling in your pictures, the two that you've got, that they just, the stories are rich and they're deep just because of the details you have in them.
Thank you.
Of the two that I've seen. Yeah.
The thing I also like is that the images are close up. This one specifically. Usually you get wide shots, a lot of wide shots in documentary photography to try and include as much detail as possible. But I like that this is sort of like narrowed down. It's the window. And then the fact that
really
the story is universal. Say that again.
That's really reassuring, because I, like, in the process of kind of like losing myself, with the whole like, oh, maybe I should be more lifestyle, whatever. I got a lot of comments about how like I have a lot of closer up or more detail shots. Maybe I should pull back. And now, like, I do struggle with that, so I do want to improve, but I've never actually had people say, oh wow, I love how you're in there. It's always pull back, and I'm like, but it doesn't.
I might like it because I got the same comments as well.
A little biased.
I always, before last year, my primary lens was a 50 mil.
Oh, 35 here.
Yeah, and now I switched to a 25, and I hate it.
Wow.
I hate that wide. No, I'm more about the detail. I want to go in there and capture exactly what I want to capture and nothing else. So yeah, and I got that comment because I'm trying to get more into like editorial, and with editorial, you want more in the frame to add to the story, and it's been a huge struggle. But yeah, I love these sorts of images. So.
Yeah, you got just what you needed, right, in the shot, and nothing else.
Exactly. So this is proof that you can still have a detailed, really in-depth storytelling image, but not necessarily have to pull back.
A lot there. There's a shoe. Is that a shoe?
Yeah, there's a shoe I keep looking at. Is that a remote control? Like,
I think no, it's her mom's phone with the calculator.
Okay. So it's like, I know they're at home. That's all I need to know. There's a shoe. Like, clearly they're chilling at home.
So it's a glass table.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually outside on the floor.
And shit sucks. Yeah.
I love it.
You've got enough in there. Any more and we'd be lost. So
right, exactly.
Awesome. I love this conversation. We are moving on to Lauren. Lauren has all three of her images selected in this exposition.
Ooh. Okay, Lauren.
So
you
are the only one that had all three images selected for this.
All three she entered.
All three she entered. There were only
I thought it was a mistake. I was like, this can't be right.
No,
it's right, Lauren.
And both, like, two of them are water. So, this is why I was wondering, because the feeling you get, but I'm not going to talk about what my feelings are. So I'm going to let you do the talking.
Okay. So for those that don't know me, I live in Ocean City, New Jersey. I grew up on a barrier island, a different one in New Jersey, and then left and came back. And then my husband and I moved over to the island in the beginning of 2020. We have a 16-year-old, a almost 15-year-old, and an almost 13-year-old. My baby will be 13 on Monday. So it is getting harder to photograph them because when they were little, it was easier. And I don't have as many images of them from this summer or from the last couple of years, because even though we were at home together, our relationship is changing. Things are just different. And I have to just kind of respect that. And I think teenagers keep a little bit more like in, and I think little kids are just like, here I am, you can have every part of me. And so I think it's a little bit tricky, but my middle son is autistic. He is the one in this photo from our front porch. So my two boys switched schools during the pandemic because we had moved. So we're in a new town. None of the programs are still open. The only thing we could really do is go to the beach with them. So we live a few blocks from the beach, and then there's an inlet there's a bridge that connects to another island about maybe a half mile from where we live. And so those other two photos were taken in the same place. I shoot underwater a lot, like with I have an Aquatech housing for my camera. So this is actually like, this perspective this is my son Sawyer. And the water here, it's in the inlet, so it's super, super deep, but it's because it's where the bay connects with the ocean, there's a high amount of salinity, so you can float pretty easy. But underneath of him, it's very, very deep because it's where boats go through in a channel. He just happened to be kind of like off to the side a little bit. There's a place where you can climb up and jump into the water. And so we spent a lot of time there. And so I shoot a lot in the water, around the water, just because I'm just very drawn to it. I feel like 2021 was probably the hardest year of my life. My husband's an anesthesiologist, so he's been intubating COVID patients for however long. And I think he's really getting really sick and tired of all of this. So that's been hard we worry about his job and the kids and all these different things. But I had broken my ankle skiing about a year ago. And when I got home, our dog started to get very, very territorial and aggressive toward other people and tried to bite some children that had come into the house. We had to give him back to the breeder, which was we had him for 2 years. He was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. So I just felt like 2021 for me was full of a lot of loss. At the same time, my other son, who's now 16, he had been involved in this really awful online situation where there is now a court case because he was being solicited for videos online from someone who was not who they said they were. So, we've been very open in talking about this. I'm not violating his privacy by sharing it, but it was through Snapchat. So that was all at the same time. I felt very, very unsafe. I felt like I didn't want to go to the grocery store. I didn't want to leave my bedroom. But I always felt safe near the water. Like, this is the place where it feels like home to me and it feels safe. And just like being at peace. And it's funny because when I looked at these three, I'm like, these are too similar to submit, but maybe one of them will get in. So, with their arms kind of prostrated in the way they are, I like this particular picture. There's other pictures of him swimming and sticking his tongue out and rolling his tongue, but this was a reflection of how I felt, like how I wanted to feel, like just this utter, just like surrender and peace. And I feel like just with the things that we went through as a family, I've learned a lot. I would never want to do this year over again, 2021, but I learned a lot. I questioned a lot about my mothering, about who I am as a person. And I think I've walked out of it feeling like I know who I am. And I know that, just because things have happened to my kids doesn't make me a bad mom. I think that sometimes when your children are in a place of grief and sadness and aloneness, like you take that on personally. And so I felt like in 2021, I had to learn to like really not be attached to a lot of things and surrender, to just kind of like be open. So, yeah.
So Nikki had to run, unfortunately, but she has a question for you. Do you have cinematographic influence?
No, and actually, like this image of my son Sawyer, I did not really tone this that much. I mean, I added some contrast and a little bit of saturation and stuff, but the way that this was shot, you can kind of see that there's like an orangey light that's coming from that's during like the sun had just gone down. So that's why you have that color there. And my kids like do a lot of surfing. So we're near the water in the winter too. Like people on the island, like they put hoods on and wetsuits and swim every day. Even though it's like 28 degrees out today, there's always people surfing. So, and so we do that. A lot of our life is spent near the water.
Have you printed this image?
Not yet.
Good. The textures are amazing.
I'm excited to print it. I'm taking it's just a workshop on like a recorded one that's all about printing. So that's what I need to learn next. It's more about paper and ink and boring stuff, but important stuff.
It's hard.
hard, but-
Yeah, I from this, especially hearing how your 2021 was, I'm so sorry to hear that. By the way, all of it. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. I mean, that's the way it is. Like, I mean, none of us are immune to the terrible things that happen in the world as much as we think that we are.
Yeah. Looking at this image, I feel like I see the freedom you were talking about in the water and the escape. And through his gaze, I almost feel like almost like a defiant need to escape. I don't know if I'm putting that right. Or even really how to put it. Almost just like, I'm going to be free, God damn it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this is mine. Like right now, this is mine. That's kind of what I get from this image, and just his gaze. And not only that, but like, I just love the flick of his hand, just like the gesture of his hand is so lovely. And it makes me feel a way. I don't even know, but I'm not sure how to describe it. Yep.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren, this is actually, we're using this image as the cover image for the exhibit catalog.
Really?
Yeah.
Girl.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just so lovely. And I think what's interesting about the image, maybe I should talk in an accent so you can pretend I'm Nikki. No. But what I think is really interesting about the image is that anybody who looks at this image will feel a certain way, like whatever is matching their kind of thing, right? So like there's that feeling of freedom, there's this intensity in his gaze, like Sam was saying.
I would see defiance now, wouldn't I?
But all of those things. So it's just so, there's just something about it that is just so captivating, really. So we were like, yep, this one has to go on the cover.
That means a lot.
And
I do see what you're saying about the defiance, and he is the youngest of three boys, so that could have definitely been going on in his head. But
And I don't even necessarily mean like in a mad way, more just like I'm more
don't
like
mess with me.
well, I guess more defined, I meant more like steadfast or more like purposeful, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I don't really know how to put it. Just really like taking what's mine sort of thing. Something like that. Can we also look at, because I know you had another water picture. What was the other one too?
Wait, whoops. There we go.
It actually was from a session I did for a friend of mine. Her daughter wanted to have like a group of seniors. I said, well, if you want me to do your pictures, you need to just bring bathing suits and just jump in the water because I'm not going to pose you. So they did. And it was so much fun because they were like they were cheerleaders. So they started doing all these like flips in the water and stuff. It just was really fun. And I was in the water with them. And they were like, kind of holding each other up like you would like a little kid, like letting them float and like, kind of pushing each other around. But this was just one that just kind of gave me the same kind of feeling. It's actually in the same place. The light's obviously a little bit different, but this is like I don't know if it was Nikki that was saying like, you just kind of find the place and you just keep going back to it. And that's just kind of what like I've done. Even when I go through my images, there's just certain things that just like this to me almost feels like a prayer.
So yeah, now that you mention it, I feel like the other one was more like oh crap, did I just lose my thought? Okay, let me see if I can get it back. More like, because I read the moods a little differently. In the other one, it's more like trying to take back what's mine in the face of disaster And then this one is almost like, let's just pretend like it's not there for a minute, right? Like it makes me think a little bit about when I was a kid and how I used to love to go into the deep end and then just like suspend myself underwater, and you can't hear anything, you know, it's just completely peaceful. You know, you forget that your jerk brothers are also there with you. You know what I mean? Like it's very your own world. And so I don't know if you can tell the nuance I'm trying to, like, I just see.
Yeah, no, I get that too. There was a lot of other things like, so she was with a group of girls and she just kind of went off just for a split second by herself and was just floating and swimming, you know, away from the other girls. And it just felt like this moment of kind of like solitude, and just the way that's like her hands are breaking the water. Like she must have come up from underneath, somehow, you know,
for a breath of air. Yeah. Just very like, you know, sort of in the face of the pandemic versus like, let's just pretend it's not here for a while.
Yeah.
That's what I got from those two.
Amazing work. Like, congratulations to all of you.
And can I say something about the other one too?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So this was on our front porch and I thought, I almost felt like that firework looked like a heart. So
It totally does.
So that one, that's what I was like, there's another photo too. So I don't know why, but of all the photos, this is the one that comes back to me all the time. Like, I just think about it all the time. And I've been trying to think about why, and I don't know. So I can't help you with that. But there's something about,
you said you have a son on the spectrum, right?
yeah.
I have my son on the spectrum.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something
he
about.
just experiences life in a very different way. And
there's something about his attitude. And just like, it's pure, I don't know. Like I said, I've been trying to think about how to explain this for the longest, because I just sit there and I just think about, it's just pure like hope, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And where those fireworks are coming from, they're on a barge in the middle of the bay. So those fireworks are coming from over the water too.
Oh, was it for New Year's Eve?
4th of July.
Oh, it was 4th of July. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. Is it like the new year, like coming into 21 and it's like, yay, you know, finally. I thought about that, like maybe, you know, maybe he was really excited that 2020 was over. And I was like, we just spoil it for you.
Hate to spoil it, but it's about to get worse.
My husband had, like, right after my kids had COVID over Christmas, and then as soon as they got off quarantine, my husband went to Canada and we got 14 inches of snow the next day. So it's like, I'm like, this is not starting great, but you know, I'll take it. It's little stuff. Oh, they were okay though too. The COVID stuff was, once they were done with that was fine. But.
Oh, good. Yeah, but just for whatever reason, it's really stuck with me.
Well, thank you. I'm really glad. I mean, when I was looking at this image, it's technically imperfect, and it was really hard because it was very, very dark.
I like it.
I just loved it. So I went with my gut when I submitted. I'm like, I just like these. Usually I'm like overthinking everything. So.
Yeah, I said I like the technically imperfect, and I think this is why I love the selection, and I can't wait to go out and, you know, end this. No, that didn't sound right. I can't wait to go and look at the gallery again and again, because I think that every image is unique. Every image is different in the way that it speaks of the year. And I hope that people will look at it and sort of free themselves of the kinds of what family documentary should look like, and create work. Well, who cares about all that, you know, the rules? Well, good to know the rules, but, you know, let yourself break them, because when people are looking back at what 2021 was like, they're not going to be looking for perfect images. They're going to be looking for what will give them the feelings and the emotions and the struggles and the joys and everything that went on in the year.
No, absolutely. I agree. That's for me, that was another one of the images that I saw that made me go, oh, we're doing things a little different this time. Like it really surprised me. And I was very glad for it. And like you said, the technically imperfect part was part of what I loved about the image. Like,
So
just
what? Yeah.
inspiring. It was super inspiring. Like, oh, like, you know, made me think about the way that I shoot, and the whole thing, honestly, like the surprises were super inspiring for me. So I just love this whole damn thing, y'all. Thank you.
It was really hard to make a selection. I
Yeah.
did a first selection and I thought, oh my God, you mean I have to narrow this? Can I just submit like 40? Come on now, because all of them were so good. Every story was unique. Every moment was different. And each of them spoke to what the year was about. So, you know, I feel like I could go back and make another selection of 20 and they'll be completely different today.
That's what I said. They
Hey.
would be. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I know Ash has an announcement to make, but before I let her do that,
I do. I know.
I need to ask Mercy to introduce herself a little bit, because we didn't have time to know you a little bit before everything started. Mercy, what I can say, Mercy was one of the exhibitors in our first DFA exposition in the
DFP.
gallery,
DFP.
and we are so proud to have you
DFP.
now. DFP.
Wrong
Sorry.
one.
Fired.
Wrong company.
Sorry.
Your job. No.
Okay.
Awkward.
We're friends. You can shout them out, but
To the DFP. Oh my gosh. Okay. It's almost 9:00 here, like 9 p.m. Sorry. Like, this is all I can.
no, it's fine.
Mercy, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Okay. So I'm Mercy. I live in Kent in the UK. I'm Nigerian born, raised, and then I moved to Paris, lived there for a few years, and then I moved here, so kind of moved around. I'm a mom of 2. My son's 8 next week, and my daughter is 5. I studied photography. I studied visual communications, specifically photography. I've always been into the arts since I was a kid. I started out in theater, and then along the way, I found a camera, and I've loved that ever since. I've done everything that most family photographers do. You know, you start out doing a few cake smashes, a few this and that, and I started documenting my own family, but I didn't know it was a thing. Family documentary, what's that, you know? And then I found DFP and DFA and everything else. And I thought, wow, this is an actual thing, you know? And my dream since then has always been to make work, but not just of my own family, but of like my community, of people around me, and tell all the different stories that go untold, especially relating to motherhood and family, because I feel like a lot of people, documentary photographers, go straight for like conflict and things like that. But I want to capture love, and I want to capture just what you see around you, things that could potentially be missed when you aren't looking. So I've spent the last year working on a project. I kind of mentioned it earlier, telling the story of the transition into motherhood by Black mothers in the UK. And again, it was a struggle. Like, how do I visualize something that is so big? But I think I'm working it out in the process. I'm kind of making it make sense. Yeah. Did I miss anything? Don't really like talking about myself.
Why not?
Yeah.
Brilliant. We so appreciate you. All of the jurors, judges, we've been going back and forth on the name of that for a while, but in your effort, I know it was not the easiest decision to narrow it down. You should have tried sequencing these to make it flow in a gallery. That was me. So you don't like the flow. I don't know who did it. But yeah, we thank you. And also for all of the photographers who submitted, as well as those who are exhibiting, and also just being part of the community. Yeah, it feels good to, like, it's kind of one of the things that has kept me going and sane, not insane, going and sane the last 2 years through the pandemic is, you know, what can I do to like work for the community? What can we do? What, you know, it occupies a lot of my time, our time, I should say. I wanted to mention, what did I want to mention? Crap. I can't remember now.
Well, the award we are planning.
Oh, yes. Okay. So I'm going to just show it on the, I'm going to share my screen for a minute. Let's see. So on the website, we are doing a People's Choice Award again, and we will have a prize. It will probably be an exhibit catalog. So the People's Choice Award, you can vote on your favorite image. You'll just click the button here and it'll take you to the image. Please only vote on one. And you just put in your email address, confirm that it's your favorite, and then click vote. And it will send us, it'll start tallying your vote. So that will go through Monday, the 24th, and then voting closes. And later in the week, we will announce the People's Choice Award via our Instagram at Documentary Family Photogs on Instagram, as well as probably on our Facebook and on the website here. Yeah, all of that good stuff. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we do have an exhibit catalog. If you're not sure, whoops, I should probably link the right thing. That would be awesome. If you're not sure what an exhibit catalog is, it's actually just like a photo book. And it has all of the images that are in the exhibit. So you can see our last year's exhibit is here. And here is this year's with Lauren's beautiful image on the cover. And yeah, right now it is on pre-order because instead of us ordering like, 500 and then no one buying them, we wait and see how many we need to buy, and then we place the order in a few weeks. So be sure to, if you're going to get your catalog, go ahead and do that. For exhibiting photographers, there is in an email some information about how to order your catalogs in particular, and we will follow up with an email with that as well. The other thing was I wanted to show the 3D exhibit. So when you come on here, you can enter the 3D exhibits and walk through. You can use the arrows on your keypad, your keyboard, as well as your mouse, however you do it. I'm not going to click here because I know since I have video running, it would probably make my fan go on my computer. So you can check that out. You can click on the artwork to make it bigger, as well as read descriptions. You can also check out artist bios. So everything here is on the site, and check it out. And every photographer's website is linked. So if you want to see more of their work or get in touch with them, you can absolutely do that as well. Am I missing anything, Lavi?
No, I think you're good. I think
Okay.
you covered everything.
That's right. So People's Choice Award vote. Go to the 3D exhibit. Oh yeah, the 3D exhibit is available from today through March 6th. And then once after March 6th, it will just be in a normal photo gallery that looks like this. So it won't be like the cool interactive, like you're walking through a gallery space. At some point, our hope is that with all of these virtual galleries we are doing, we will be able to do some kind of traveling exhibits once things calm down with COVID. That's like our big hope and dream. It's just right now it's too complicated logistically to work all of that out the way we want to do it. So yeah, if anyone has any questions or like needs anything at all, you can always shoot us an email. I think there's contact. this web designer who designed this thing. It was me. Yeah, you can just get in touch with us here. And yeah, I think that's it. Does anyone else have anything they want to add in or talk
It looks
about?
really nice, Ash.
Thanks.
It looks so good and profesh.
Thanks. It's, like I said, a labor of love trying to sequence images from a bunch of different photographers. But it works. I think what's funny is you start to look and you're like, oh wait, this makes sense. This shape is similar to this shape. These tones, and it starts to pull together. But at first you look at it and you're like, wait a minute, can this happen the way we need it to? But we are so grateful for each and every one of you for joining us on the opening reception, for all of your insights and hearing about your photography journey. Is that what we call it? Yeah. And yeah, we're just really proud of each and every one of you. So thank you.
Thanks for
And
having us.
yeah, and everyone have a great weekend and enjoy the exhibit. And we will have another one soon.
Great.
Maybe we'll have the same 3 judges. We just have stable judges every time now. Okay, good. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye.